Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip and Riff. Happy hockey season, folks. For most, it has officially started, but it's underway tonight as well. Tonight's the first big slate of games. We had a few last night, had a couple in Europe over the weekend. Jared's team coming home very happy across the pond. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. That is at Mr. Jared Moore on Twitter, and you see it there at Rip and Riff, at Rip and Riff, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Jared, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. You'd have no idea it was hockey season starting with some of the crazy weather that we've had across the country in various parts. You mentioned a heat wave going through your area. It's basically going to be 70 degrees every day throughout October in New York. So I don't know what happened in the fall season, but apparently nobody told the forces that be Mother Nature that hey, it's time to settle down with a nice pumpkin spice latte and, enjoy the nice crisp fall, autumn weather. And
we're just a couple of weeks away from the NBA season starting, where we have all the four major sports going on at once.
And I got, it's funny, you and I talk a lot off the air. I just ordered a ton of cards. And one of the things I made sure we picked up with the NBA starting in a couple of weeks, nice box of the Panini Mosaic NBA cards. So we'll have those on the show in a couple of weeks.
That'll be a nice way to kick off the beginning of the NBA season. The NBA doesn't get a ton of love here, but we do work it in when we can because, hey, who doesn't love a good basketball card from time to time? Jared's sporting his New Jersey Devils jersey today, the jersey. Anybody on the back of that one?
This is the Nico Hischier jersey. It's got the captaincy. It's weird. The captaincy on this jersey is on the other side, so it's usually on the left side, but on this one, it's on the right.
You know what other team does that?
The Detroit Red Wings.
Correct. Because the way the wing comes up, they felt like it would be too much to have the letter there, so they swapped it to the other side.
Yeah. So I like the this jersey's kind of grown on me. I didn't like it at first because of all the white stripes. I think it's a little plain, but I just like the jersey crest in the front. I love the font that they used and like the red trim for it. It's a good look. They could have done a lot better with this jersey. So I hope when they eventually do another third jersey, they at least keep like the jersey script on the front. Like you can see it on the towel I have in the background there as well, even though it doesn't have the red trim. And, it's just a nice clean look. I like that.
I mean, you are Jersey's team. You're the only team in Jersey. I mean, yes, the Jets and Giants play there, I know. But you are the only team with Jersey in the title. So there you go. And I like Hischier. I like Meyer. If I had to pick a favorite Devil, it would be one of those two guys.
Yeah. So, nice 2-0 start to the season. Like that they're actually playing with structure and they're defensively sound and all that good stuff. They actually got goaltending. The fact they can get a save now is, watch out, rest of the league. If they can get a save, you just get average goaltending, they'll be a force.
You went from a team where you couldn't tell who the starter and who the backup was because they were both backups to you have a legitimate starter and now you have like a top 5 backup in the league for sure that you can trust every time you got to throw them out there.
Yeah, it's nice to actually have a goaltender you can not hold your breath on because they don't give up rebounds that shoot out like 6 feet away from the net for a forward to just easily clean up and bury. So, but that's not here nor there. We'll get to all the hockey stuff in a few minutes. We got to start off with a nice edition of Rip and Rant, but before that, we got to get to what we're actually ripping today.
That's true, we do. And Jared's got the jersey stuff on. It is way too hot for a hockey jersey. I got my New York Rangers Chris Kreider jersey on, and I'm also sporting, believe it or not. All right, now I have the headphones on. What were you saying?
I said nice, and also I can't imagine that's going to last the entire show with the heat wave you're dealing with.
No. This is coming off during pack break. We're ripping lineup. This I got, if you go to the beach in Southern California, they'll have like guys selling stuff on tables. They have these masks. And I want to say this was Santa Barbara or San Diego, one of the two. And I saw a guy at a table full of sports masks. I'm like, all right, let me go over there just to take a look, and they have the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Padres, all the teams you would expect of the area, the Raiders. And I'm like, looking, I don't see a Jets. I'm like, what are the odds you got a New York Rangers mask in there? And he had one and it was $20. I'm like, all right, how do I not buy this for $20? I mean, this is a steal.
I like that. I'll have to look this up. I'm sure he's not the only guy who sells that, but I wouldn't mind having a nice Lucha Libre style mask like that.
I may wear this to the Rangers Sharks game. Maybe I'll become like that guy at the Ranger game every year. Maybe I'll build that identity for myself. We'll see.
Why not?
Speaking of hockey, we got a couple of hockey packs coming your way today, both from the 2021-22 year. I will be ripping a jumbo pack of the MVP hockey. And some of the rookies we're going for up there: Cole Caulfield, Quentin Byfield, Jeremy Swayman. We'll get into him in a little bit. Lucas Raymond and William Eklund in that pack. And then some of the inserts, before and after color contours, heart attack, rookie formations, and mascots there. So I have that jumbo pack, and then Jared will pick it up with some more hockey.
Yeah, I got the 21-22 extended series from Upper Deck. The same rookies for the most part. Obviously, we're looking for the young guns for some of the more notable players on that list. And also, baseball playoffs are underway right now. We're in the division series, and we do have a little bit of baseball. We a little Topps 2023 pack just to kind of wet the beak a little bit and talk about some of the series that are going on right now, because it's crazy, man. And like, I know we're taping this on Monday and the show will air on a Wednesday. So a lot can change in the baseball playoffs by then. But one thing I don't think is going to change is the New York Mets and their propensity for just getting every big hit, which is just insane. Like they did it again last night, even though they didn't win the game. Like the fact that like Vientos came up the ninth inning and hit a 2-run homer to tie the game. Like, of course he did. Like that's the kind of run the Mets are on right now.
And I will say, I know the Giants are coming off a big win in Seattle, but the Jets right now have to be the most happy about the Yankees and Mets playoff baseball runs right now, because it's kind of not necessarily taking them off the back page, but it's not keeping them from being the sole focus of like what's, you know what I mean? Like that's helping right now. Because I'm not in New York, but I do have a lot of Met fan friends and Yankee fan friends too. But all my Met fan friends are just like going crazy right now. Shout out Ant Rivera 86.
It helps. What doesn't help is that fact that game aired on a Sunday morning in London, and where everybody in New York saw it. Everybody in New York that wasn't in church saw it.
Yes, and I woke up early to watch that game at 6:30 here, and maybe I shouldn't have, but maybe that's what I'm going to rant about today. Maybe it's not, but let's find out what's going to happen in one of our favorite segments. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. Now, Jared is chosen to not do a Rip and Rant today because he hasn't. We're going to do a little football segment coming up before we get to the packs real quick. But I just want to take a few seconds here just for common sense, folks. They had to delay. We were talking about the baseball playoffs before. They had to delay the Padres-Dodgers game due to fans throwing stuff on the field at Padres players. And like, listen, I get it. Things get heated on the field. Fan bases don't like each other. Don't like the other team's players. Dodgers Padres is a rivalry. I get it. There's no excuse to ever throw stuff on the field. Like, just like, I don't understand. Like, what do you think you're doing there? Like, there are two reasons you could throw things on a playing surface. One, it's an opposing team home run, and in that stadium, we don't keep visiting home run balls. Fine, you throw the ball back. Or if it's like a teddy bear toss at like a minor league hockey game benefiting some local children's hospital. Outside of something like that, there is never a reason to throw stuff on the field. And like, if you're saying that Padres players overreacted, all it takes is for one hard object to catch somebody in the back of the melon right here. That could be it. That's all it takes. Like, it could be a freak thing like that. So like, don't be a bitch. Don't throw things on the field. That's it. Like, because that's what you are. Because if you're somebody that throws things at players on the field, you're definitely somebody that would not confront somebody if they were 6 feet away from you.
Oh, so there's definitely a lot of internet tough guy, keyboard warrior aspect to this that I completely agree with you on. I'll add there's 2 other instances where I think it's okay to throw something on the field. NHL game, hat trick, 100% okay. We will fully endorse that. And also Buffalo Bills, if you're a Bills fan, you want to throw a dildo on the field, I think it's funny. So I don't really have a problem with it. And hey, as long as it's not a hard one, if it's soft and like kind of like floppy, yeah, sure, why not? Go for it. It's just really funny.
Definitely not a hard one past like mid-October, because when it's cold out, that rubbery plastic's going to get even harder. And now it's a legitimate like weapon at that point. So agreed, it cannot be hard.
Right, exactly. You know what? Never mind. That's a discussion for a different show. I completely agree with you. I feel like Rip and Riff After Dark. That's where you get all the good content. No,
different masks for that one.
No, but in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. It's just, it gives fans a bad name as well. Everyone's like, oh, Yankee fans are the worst because they did this, or Dodger fans do this. And, it's a couple jerks who kind of paint everybody else in a bad light, which is certainly frustrating. And it probably didn't help matters that Profar. I don't want to say he incited it, but he sort of like kind of was like egging him on, almost like playing around with him. And it started in the first inning when he robbed Mookie Betts of that home run, and he's just kind of like taunting them, like as he's like backing away because he knew he had the ball in his glove, and I don't think the fans knew it because Mookie's rounding the bases. So, it's just a bad look, and I hope that hopefully we don't see any more of it this baseball postseason. But I got a feeling with the Yankees alive and the Phillies alive and the Dodgers, and I'm sure the Padres fans will probably throw stuff on the field, and the Mets and whoever. I'm sure this isn't going to be the last we see of this postseason, especially with like tensions running high and people want their team to win so badly, but people also just don't know how to act.
Yeah, and like you said, in the drawing back and forth with the fans, you do see a lot of instances where fans will have a clever chirp at an outfielder and he'll turn around and laugh or like say something back friendly. That stuff's all cool, but like there's a line you don't cross when you're doing that, and crossing, I don't care what the player says at that point. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but like I doubt players are saying anything that is even 1/10 as fucked up as what some of these fans say back at the players. So, like, as long as it's all in good fun, that's fine. But there's never excuse to throw stuff at them. I'm sorry. Like, it's not pretzel day at a Springfield Isotope game.
No, it's not. You're supposed to eat the pretzels. You're supposed to be tasting them.
Who was the old timer that came out to plead with the fans? I forget.
Oh, it was Whitey Ford.
That's right.
It was Whitey Ford. It was a black day for baseball.
Oh, man. And so one thing, we're going to get to hockey cards here in just a second. I want to start a quick football segment called punting or going for it, where you pick a team or a player that you're either high or low on right now. And, I'm going to kick things off and say I'm going for it with the Denver Broncos right now as a team that could make the playoffs as a wild card team when you look at the schedule. The offense still has a long way to come, but they have a very good defense. They sit at 3-2 right now. And if you look at the schedule the rest of the way, they do have some winnable games on there. Yeah, they got a 3-week stretch there with Baltimore, KC, and Atlanta. That's no joke. But everything outside of that, they could potentially win. And if you look at this landscape of the AFC right now, Houston's probably going to win the South. KC's probably going to win the West. We'll give Buffalo the East, give Baltimore the North. I'm still believing the Jets could potentially be one of those wild card teams. Let's say Cincy or Pittsburgh for the other one. Why can't Denver get that other spot? There's, right now, there's not a lot of teams that like really impress me consistently wise. And at least Denver seems to be winning games with their defense, and the offense is maybe Bo Nix is taking a little time to come around, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been super impressed with Bo Nix through 5 games so far, but I mean, you look at the numbers yesterday, they look decent, and then I see the QBR is like 26.8, and it's just like that's probably the numbers probably look better than they actually are there in that case, especially against the Raiders, seeing that probably isn't very good. But I like the Denver call. I like that you went on a limb with that, and they do pick up a nice home divisional win over a rival. And you mentioned the defense. The defense played really well yesterday. I know it's the Raiders, and Gardner Minshew's not very good, and the Raiders have their own issues with the quarterback position. But yeah, I certainly think that's a good call there. I mean, they're probably a year away from actually being like really good because they need a few more pieces on offense. But yeah, I'm intrigued by that call. I like that one. I'm going to go with the one.
This week's Chargers game is a very big, yardstick game. We'll see how they come out of that this Sunday in Week 6. Who's your team?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a pretty clear cut call here. The Washington Commanders. They picked up another win yesterday over the Cleveland Browns. They're 4-1 on the season. I'll go as far as to say I think the Washington Commanders are going to win the NFC East. I don't really like what I see from Dallas, even though they barely pulled that game out last night. I don't like what I've seen from Philly at all. They had the bye this week. They're obviously coming off it. I forget who they played this first game. I think they played somebody decent, maybe Detroit.
They played Tampa the first game, then they had the 4-game winning streak.
For the Eagles?
Oh, I'm talking about the Commanders.
No. I'm talking about the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
I think the Eagles have. I think they have the Lions coming out of the bye because they just lost to Tampa right before the bye. But Jaden Daniels is the real deal. I mean, I hate it as a Giants fan that the Washington Commanders finally have a quarterback, but the Washington Commanders have a quarterback, and he's awesome, and he's making a ton of plays, and they don't really have a whole lot on offense aside from him. Like he's managed to revive Terry McLaurin's career, but their receiving core doesn't have a whole lot outside of that. You know, they have Austin Eckler, who's fine. You know, Brian Robinson, you know, is basically their goal line back now. He just plows in the end zone, and you know, Dan Quinn's a defensive coach, and their defense is playing well. I mean, you got to give them a lot of credit there. And look, I know yesterday they're playing the Browns. It's, you know, Deshaun Watson just looks washed in terms of being an NFL quarterback. I don't know how much longer they're going to stick with him, just because you know, this is the 5-year contract. It's year 3 of it. It's fully guaranteed, and they don't have a clear out there. But you know, you're going to turn to Jameis Winston. Like, how much longer if you're the Browns, can you really continue to go down this road? But yeah, I like what I've seen from Washington so far, and they have a very interesting game next week. 1:00 CBS against the Baltimore Ravens, and you know, I think the way they're playing, they could beat Baltimore. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think Washington has a chance to win 11 or 12 games here.
Sidebar, they tried to flex that game in, and CBS used one of their protection, you know, coupons, passes, whatever you want to call it, and said, no. So we're stuck with Bengals Giants on Sunday Night Football as a result of that. But, and also the Eagles play the Browns coming out of the bye. So that should be a chance for them to
that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. I kept saying the lines. I know they had the lines somewhere in the schedule, and it's probably coming up pretty soon, but
Commanders plus 200 to win the East right now if you were looking to get in on that.
I'm assuming Philly's still the betting favorite.
They are right now anywhere between plus 130 and plus 140.
Yeah, I mean, look, you probably missed the boat to get like actual value on the Washington Commanders. So this is probably the last chance to get them, you know, while they're not the favorites. But I think Washington's clearly the best team in that division.
Until Philly gets a little more consistent, I mean, Washington definitely is playing the best football out of anybody right now in that division. That's for sure. I mean, Dallas barely got by against Pittsburgh. They needed a last-second drive to do that. So, yeah, I mean, let's see. You know, there's also a little bit of, okay, Jaden Daniels has only been in the league 4 or 5 games right now. Once teams get more and more tape on a guy, then we see how he takes that next step once they have enough of a body of work to maybe game plan against him. But after that Baltimore game, Carolina, Chicago, and the Giants, 3 winnable games. Then the Steelers, the Eagles, Cowboys, Titans. They have a late bye week 14. And then at New Orleans versus Philly versus Atlanta and at Dallas to close the year. So if they're going to make the playoffs or win the division, they're going to earn it in that last stretch there in December and January. So good on them. I think we've talked enough. What do you say we get to a little hockey pack rip in here?
Sure. Well, before we do hockey, do you want me to do the baseball and we kind of get that out of the way and then we do hockey? How do you want to do this today?
Yeah, you know what? Let's start off with the baseball playoffs. Absolutely. Let's tease these hockey fans that are wanting to get to the hockey cards here. Let's do a little baseball first.
Yeah. So I got a ton of packs of these Topps cards. I'm only going to do one of them just because we can save the rest for.
Yeah, we save it for another time. Got plenty of baseball left here.
Yeah, I mean the baseball playoffs are still going on for a while, and all right, I can already tell this is a good pack, and this is probably going to be our pull of the day because I've already mentioned this player on the show. How about a Mark Vientos rookie card right off the bat?
I mean, that's a little creepy. Would you pre-rip the pack and sneak inside?
I did pre-rip the pack, but I did not look inside. Like I legitimately had no idea that this is going to be the first card there. But I mean, what you talk about Mark Vientos, you talk about the run the Mets are on. I mean, what else can you say about the Mets? They have a Met fans aren't going to like this comparison, but I'm gonna just say it. They feel like the late 90s Yankees teams in a way where it doesn't matter who's up at the plate. It doesn't matter what the score of the game is. It just feels like they're going to find a way to win the game somehow. Like whoever it is, it could be Alonso, it could be Lindor, it could be Vientos, it could be any one of these random guys. Brandon Nimmo's a good player. Francisco Alvarez is certainly capable of hitting the ball over the wall. I mean, they got a lot of good players in that lineup. JD Martinez has been on championship teams before, so they just have it going on right now.
You know what vibe they also kind of have just a little bit is, remember in Major League when they turn things around and they start winning and they're peeling the pieces of the clothes off the owner, you know, like just the team is like everybody's loving each other and everything. Like they just have that vibe to them right now. You're right. And one other thing too is the Mets Yankees thing is like a one-way street in terms of like how Mets fans and Yankees fans root for it. Like like there's a lot of Yankee fans that can't stand the Mets and can't root for them. I'm a Yankee fan that has no problem with the Mets, and if they're doing well, that's great. But I do understand as a Met fan, there are very, very few Met fans that are happy when the Yankees are doing well. I get the dichotomy, I guess there.
No, I totally get it. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm rooting against the Mets, but like I'm not really rooting for them either. If that makes sense, I'm very, very neutral on that. I would probably lean rooting against just because it's this area, and once the Mets actually do start winning, you remember how obnoxious some of the worst Met fans can be. So there's all that, and we certainly see plenty of it on Twitter. So shout out to Ronis. Jared Walsh from the LA Angels. Ronis did absolutely nothing to get that drive by, but I'm just going to throw it out there anyways. He'd have plenty to say about the Yankees, so it's cool. It's cool. Like
he has had plenty to say about the Yankees. So
yeah, like he gets it.
He's a Cowboys fan too, so you could give it to him for that as well. But what do we got there?
Griffin Jax from the Minnesota Twins, who very much did not make the playoffs, along with another rookie card here, Simeon Woods Richardson, who was in the rotation this year. So we keep going here. Edwin Diaz, Mets closer. Who
he's an important part to that whole run too. I mean, as long as he can come out and they can rely on him. So
yeah, I mean the one thing I don't like about Diaz is he has a little bit of Aroldis Chapman in him, where sometimes he just goes out there. You have no idea if he's going to throw the ball over the plate.
Yes, but I mean,
that is not what you want this time of year. But if he can get guys out, he can get guys out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against Philly. I would say I'm rooting for the Mets. Then we'll see what happens in the next round. But yeah, I mean, they are a fun team to watch right now, and like you said, they're never out of any game, and you have to watch till literally the last at bat.
Yep. Logan O'Hoppe, rookie card, catcher with the Angels.
He had a stretch this year where he was one of the better fantasy catchers, and then he kind of fell off a cliff for like the last 6 weeks of the year. But like over the summer, he was playing very well.
Look at you with the fantasy baseball talk. I'm happily retired from fantasy baseball, so I don't look at anything through that prism anymore.
I still have one league that I've been in for like probably 16, 17 years, whatever it is. So yeah, that's my one way of keeping an eye on baseball.
Yep. One of the more disappointing teams this year, the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's Dalton Varsho, catcher and outfielder. Weird combination, but catcher and outfielder nonetheless. I like this card just because of the shot they chose to use for it, and he's a cool player, and I certainly like him. Future Hall of Famer Giancarlo Stanton here celebrating what was probably a home run. How about Stanton? Stanton kind of catching a few strays this week because he doesn't run very well anymore. But if you remember previous episodes of RipNRiff, what did I say about hustling? Only bad things happen when you hustle.
Pull something.
Yep. Ooh, I like this one. Nice little insert card here. Refractor Travis d'Arnaud here with the Atlanta Braves.
They did not get out of the first round against the Padres this year, but they are certainly a team that can bounce back and do some damage next season.
Yep. I love this card. Nice all aces insert card here with Satchel Paige.
Ooh, get Mad Dog on the line. He'd like that one.
Yeah, this has been a very good pack so far, and we got a few more, and I got one that we're really gonna like here. Victor Robles, who no longer with the Nationals, but had a nice little resurgence with the Mariners. Walker Buehler, who we'll see how his October looks. He has not pitched very well down the stretch this year, but if the Dodgers are going to win a championship, he needs to be a big part of it. Jesus Luzardo with the Miami Marlins. I know he spent a lot of time hurt this year. And last but not least, one more rookie card pull, and this is a pretty good one because he won the Rookie of the Year last year, Corbin Carroll with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
That was one of the ones we listed, and that's definitely one you're looking at of this series in this year. So that's that's got to go on a little top loader there, right there, Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, and I just bought a whole bunch of top loaders. I have other packs of MLB cards, but I feel like I can't top this pack. Like this is probably as good a pack as you're going to do for a base pack.
Now I'm concerned. You said you had 2 packs. That other pack, hopefully, law of averages doesn't work out there, and that other pack is a bunch of like just guys we've never heard of or in the minors or whatever.
Yeah, so we will not be ripping this other pack today.
We'll see.
Yeah, this will be safe for a future episode of River. We'll be disappointed later.
Yeah.
But I think now it's time to get into a little hockey. We can certainly talk some puck here.
So when this comes on the air, the Europe games will have been in the books, and then the Tuesday night games will have happened, and then we've got a nice lineup tonight, Wednesday, and the season's like, yesterday was opening day. Once you get that first slate of like a bunch of games, that's when the season feels like it's here.
Very interesting slate for the season opening games, by the way, from last night.
Well, you mean the Kraken opening at 1:00 in the 1:30 Pacific time against the Blues?
What is that? Is there a holiday in Seattle that nobody told us about?
I mean, that would be the only reason I would think about it. Because, like they'll do, if it's Martin Luther King Day or President's Day or Black Friday, you'll do afternoon games. Sure, school's out. Some places are closed that you don't have to work. But like October 9th, I don't know what that is. But hey, you know what? If it's an excuse, people, you'll take a day off from work to go to opening day. A lot of opening days are held. First pitches are 1:00, 1:30. So I guess no different in that regard.
Right. All right, let's move on. Let's do a little hockey here. Just rip the first one of these packs. We start with Seattle Kraken legend Nathan Bastian, who lasted about 15 games for the Kraken before he got put on the waivers and the Devils reclaimed him. So the Devils lost nothing out of that expansion draft, after reacquiring Nathan Bastian. I don't know if you wanted to say a word about Nathan Bastian before we move on.
I'm okay on Nathan Bastian.
Fair enough. He's your run-of-the-mill for a big fourth-line guy who chips in and kills penalties and hits guys. Logan O'Connor just recently signed a contract extension with the Avalanche, so shout out to him.
And those are deals they're going to have to sign with their cap situation. Get guys like Logan O'Connor that are reliable and don't come very expensive. So good signing on that part.
I mean, we go right from that to the best player in the sport, and Connor McDavid, and I like the shot here that they used of him.
Looks a little smug there.
Well, you'd have a smug look on your face too if you put up 150 points and were a Hart Trophy candidate every year, I suppose.
How about the video that came out recently of him in the locker room during the Stanley Cup Finals? Like, it's not having enough. Blah blah blah. We got to be better. I mean, listen, that's what you like. Yeah. In the Stanley Cup Finals, that's what you need to hear in the locker room when the chips are down.
Oh, your captain actually be doing captain shit and leading? Yeah. I mean, I like how people try to say that was a bad thing. I was like, do you know anything about sports? Like, what are you even talking about, you moron?
Listen, don't get me wrong. Like, peers don't like to be yelled at by other peers, but there are times where, as a team captain, you just, as long as you're not pointing the finger, as long as you're saying, we got to be better, you're including yourself. He's not saying you got to be better. He's saying we got to be better. That's not good enough.
Yep, and if someone can get away with saying that, it's certainly the best player in the sport.
Yeah.
Young Guns card here, Janice Moser with the now defunct Arizona Coyotes.
With Utah's first game, that's it. The Coyotes are officially behind us. I mean, I know they are, but like once that first regular season game hits, that's it.
I'm going to ask a really ignorant question right now, but is this the same? This is JJ Moser, right? Who just got traded to the Lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, so that is in.
He's not a bad defenseman either, JJ Moser. A good second pairing defenseman.
Yeah, JJ Moser. That's why I was confused by it. Yeah, because Janice Moser there. It's a really interesting trade. We'll see how that works out. We're going to hear a lot about this player this year just because of the circumstances surrounding him. But Mitch Marner, we got to talk about Mitch Marner.
I think Berube. I don't think he's getting traded. At least in this season. I think Berube will get something out of him. I think the things will be okay. I'm a big fan of Berube in Toronto. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win the division again. I think I think they might actually go on a little run this year.
I mean, Toronto's probably still the team to beat in that division. I mean, we'll see what they do in the playoffs and if Berube can get them over the hump. I am interested in them long term. They're kind of in their own self-inflicted cap hell with the way they've decided to build their team. And, they have a real conundrum here with Mitch Marner, who's entering the last year of his contract. They probably need to extend him, but, you're going to extend him. You're not paying, you're not cutting his pay. He's getting more money. And part of the reason why they haven't won is because they paid as much money to their top four as they have. Now, fortunately for them, John Tavares is also UFA at the end of the year. Even if they do bring him back, they could certainly bring him back at a reduced salary. But I mean, even with the cap going up, like there's not really an avenue to see how the Leafs get better.
Like you said, some of that Tavares money can go to help, the Marner extension, but it's like you said, they're not quite in the cap hell that Edmonton is in, but they're in the ballpark.
Yeah, well, yeah, Edmonton's gonna have a whole other can of worms to deal with once next summer hits. They have to extend McDavid, and they also have the Evan Bouchard contract to deal with. But those are first world problems. Alex Goligoski with the Minnesota Wild, now retired. So congrats to him on a good career. This is going to be the guy who's going to be number one on my I hope the Devils get this guy at the trade deadline. Brandon Tanev with the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, that's
I just want more. You know how I am. I love shithead players, and he is a shithead and a half. And and I say that as a term of endearment. This is not a knock on Brandon Tanev, but I just love players that play like that sort of style.
He is the definition of sandpaper.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. And I don't even remember this player with the Coyotes, but Anton Strawman. To finish up this first pack here.
I do, because after he got traded when the Rangers traded him to Tampa, or he signed with Tampa in the offseason, I forget, that was like his last like big stop, and then he bounced around a lot after that.
I don't remember any of that.
He was a good second pairing defenseman there for a few years. Reliable, could chip in on offense a little bit.
Yeah, he was really good, and he was also one of the guys the Devils screwed up on because he was in their camp at one point as a PTO, and they didn't sign him. So, good job there. Way to whiff on that one, as I had to watch like Miracle Mueller on their blue line.
Oh, I remember him.
Well, at least one person does. Yeah, his sister's really good at hockey. Not him, though.
Yeah,
his sister's on the Swiss national team. Not him.
Sometimes that happens. The talent goes to one sibling and not the other.
Yeah, it's not like the Kessels where it's evenly distributed.
Sam Lafferty there.
Yeah, Sam Lafferty, pretty good bottom of the lineup player. Now he's with the Sabres. Not a whole lot of fun to play against. I can attest to that watching 2 games of the Sabres, who I will say this about the Buffalo Sabres, and I don't mean this as a compliment. They look a lot like the Devils looked last year under Lindy Ruff. They didn't start on time. They didn't play a whole lot of defense. And in the first game, is the second they pulled the goalie, they gave up the empty net goal like 20 seconds later. So good luck with that hire, Buffalo.
There you go. I mean, that was a good series to start the over there. Devils coming away with both wins. I don't love seeing that as a Ranger fan, but good start to the season for the Devils.
Yep. Mark Pysyk with the Sabres there. Since we just talked about the Sabres, we can move on quickly. Nick Dad with the Capitals, still going strong, and we'll see if the Capitals wind up getting back to the playoffs this year. They will be my one of my picks to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference this year.
I think they could finish 4th in the Metro. I think the top 3 are the Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes, whatever order you want to put them in, and then I think the Capitals can easily get that 4th spot. It's up for grabs.
I have the Caps 4th, and I have the Islanders 5th in the division.
That's right.
James Reimer, who is with I'm drawing a blank who is with right now. I think he's with the Sabres too.
I think they just cut him actually though.
Yeah, he might be like AHL guy at this point though.
Yep, he was just waived.
Yeah. So a rookie gems card with Cole Perfetti. So that's a pretty cool insert to get there. Hopefully for him, he lives up to the hype there.
Cole Perfetti, a lot of people saying this is going to be the year he starts to really put it together. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we'll see. I know big people are expecting big things this year out of the Montreal Canadiens. They have Mike Matheson now. I am not buying the Canadiens hype train, at least in terms of them competing for a playoff spot. I do think they are headed in the right direction with some of the young players they have, and I think Montreal fans are very much overhyping and overrating a lot of their prospects. So, you hear that Lane Hudson's like the next greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's like, all right, you can pump the brakes a little bit.
I think Lane Hudson will be good, but
I think he'll be very good. But like, I don't need to hear any more about like Kitty Gooley. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't.
I agree with your Canadians taking that. I think they'll be an improved team this year. They'll be a fun team to watch. They'll win some games. Maybe they shouldn't. I'm not ready to put them in the playoffs yet, though. The goaltending needs to be better.
And they're probably going to finish 7th or 8th in the division, which just is what it is. Like,
Shout
I don't know
out
if they're
to
better than.
91.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to like it when he sees this clip, but sorry.
That's fine. He pisses off plenty of other teams' fan bases, so it's fine.
Tyler Bozak with the St. Louis Blues. Always like Bozak as a player. I like Jeremy Lauzon, even though he's another guy I would quantify as a shithead. He's very physical defensive defenseman, but I certainly respect the way he plays.
Going to be getting a ton of hits in Nashville this season.
Yep. All right, one more pack real quick, and then we will get to your pack.
I do love the look of these cards, by the way.
Yeah, I like them too. All right, Corey Perry still going strong. He is now with the Edmonton Oilers, who will probably be the favorites to once again come out of the Western Conference.
I mean, well, they're not going to have a lot of space to make any additions, so they got to stay healthy. But yeah, I mean, for them, they've got to be favorites to win the Pacific, and yeah, one of the top Western Conference teams.
I think they'll find a way to probably add a rental at some point. They need another defenseman. I think it's probably their biggest flaw right now, and they have enough space. They're entering the space with almost They're entering the year with almost $2 million in cap space, so they're gonna have. They'll trade whatever draft picks they have to go get a rental defenseman. So maybe it'll be someone like a Jeremy Lauzon or whoever. But
here's another thing to keep in mind with Edmonton too. What is a problem? We've talked about them for years. Like, oh, they don't have steady goaltending. They don't have a guy they can trust. Well, Stuart Skinner has now he's got to play like that. He played like that last year. He looks like he looks like a guy that can be the guy, but now he's got to go out and do it.
And they don't have much of a safety net behind him. I don't really trust Calvin Pickard. Obviously they bought out Jack Campbell during the offseason. They don't really have much in the minor leagues either. Colin Unger, Colin Delia, Olivier Rodriguez. It's a whole lot of. Yeah, exactly. Nate Schmidt here with the Winnipeg Jets. I know he just signed a minimum deal with the Florida Panthers, I want to say.
Yeah, I believe so.
So Florida will certainly be in the mix again to win the Stanley Cup. I don't think they will. It's just because you make 2 deep cup runs like that 2 years in a row. Eventually, that does take a lot out of the guys, and they did lose several key players this offseason. So I wouldn't take Florida to get back to the Cup, but I think you're going to. The other thing I'll say about Florida real quick is the NHL's a copycat league. And I think you're seeing a lot of it in training camp, and you're going to see it in the early portion of the season. Teams copying the Florida Panthers, which means I think you're going to see a lot of teams early in the regular season play that heavier brand of hockey and just a little more physicality, like right out of the gates.
I mean, one of the teams, we haven't gotten to Jeremy Swayman yet, but the Bruins, they built up their blue line to be big and burly, and that's exactly what you're referring to there. Is they're going to be teams are going back to that. Okay, we're going to be tough to play against, and we're just going to wear your ass down, and then we'll pounce in the third.
Yep.
No pun intended with the Panthers,
but Cody Ceci, who was traded away from the Edmonton Oilers, so kind of a rough deal there. But the good news for him is he's a name-ish sort of defenseman, and he will very likely be traded to a contender at some point during the season.
That's why I like that what Mike Greer did there, because he gets a guy who's going to play top 4 minutes for them, and what are you going to flip him for? A 5th, 6th, 7th, something? You'll get something for him at the deadline.
You probably get like a 3rd.
Even that, maybe, yeah, if he plays well enough.
Yeah, I don't think they can retain salary just because I think the Sharks are using all their retention spots.
They have all their slots, yeah. They can't retain until next year.
Right, but you can get something for him. Brock McGinn with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I am not buying Pittsburgh as a playoff team this year.
Me either, but we'll see. Maybe a lot of, including myself, thought that last year they'll have one last hurrah. Maybe it happens this year, but I'm not buying it.
I just don't see it. I just don't see it with the Penguins. Just too old and too many key spots, and they just didn't do enough this offseason to improve. Although I did like the Rucker McGorty trade for him. John Merrill with the Minnesota Wild, another team I really don't see getting back to the playoffs this year.
Tough team, Kaprizov will be fun to watch. Marco Rossi, certainly a nice young stud player. We'll see what happens with him this year. Brock Faber on the blue line, but yeah, I just don't see them. I can see them sniffing around the wild card picture, but not quite getting there.
Yeah, and another team that's sort of on that periphery that I can see sniffing around the wild card spot, but not getting there is Pavel Buchnevich and the St. Louis Blues. Credit to Buchnevich, by the way, on a long-term deal. So good for him.
The guy I kind of like to watch this year develop will be Jake Neighbors, because he kind of came on the second stretch of the year last year. He's going to be playing on the top line on the right side with Robert Thomas. So I think that's a guy that, and he hits, and he could be one of the next things for the Blues.
And we finish this pack with two teams that are very much not, well, one who might be on the fringe of continuing for a playoff spot. Coyotes legend Andrew Ladd. Obviously, he's no longer in the league, but he is, and the Coyotes are no longer in Arizona, but first year for the Utah Hockey Club. Certainly a lot of excitement there in, I don't know what they
Salt Lake City.
No, but you know how states have nicknames, like Jersey's the Garden State, New York's the Empire State. I don't know.
They're the Honey State or the Bee State. I'm almost positive.
Credit to you.
The Beehive State.
The Beehive State. All right. So right church, wrong pew, as we'll say. So Beehive State there. And last but not least, another team that's not going to be very good this year. And I just saw the news today that Yegor Sharangovich is week to week on IR. Trevor Lewis and the Calgary Flames. That is a team that very much needs a rebuild, whether or not they want to admit it or not. And they're going to be taking their lumps for a few years.
Well, they got their new arena coming, so they'll suck the last few years at the Saddle Dome, and then hopefully things will be on the upswing by the time the new arena opens. A little sneak peek today, starting lineup studio audiences, teams I think are going to finish in last place in their respective divisions. And I do have a Theo Fleury back there, so there's one of them. There you go. So we did some 20, 21, 22 hockey. We're going to keep rolling right along here with that. All right, so let's get the Upper Deck MVP guy up on the screen there. Okay, I got to take this mask off.
While you're doing that, I'll pull up the West Coast cam for you.
Thank you. I lasted as long as I could, but yeah, it was getting a little itchy there. Okay, so let's go here. We start off with a checklist here. We've got MVP Upper Deck MVP Alex Ovechkin checklist there for the Capitals. That's a cool looking Caps jersey. Do we think he's going to get the record this year? Yes or no?
I think he just comes up short, but he'll get it sometime the following season.
I think, depending upon the
42 goals is a lot for a player that at his age.
If the Capitals find themselves in a situation, and I have to turn my headset down because I had to turn it up to compensate for the mask. But anyway, I think if they're in a situation where they're not in a playoff spot, but they're healthy, they're just going to feed him the puck. And they already run their offense through him, but I think they'll make even more of an effort to do that. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go yes. I think he just gets there. I think he gets there at the end of the season. I think this is his last hurrah. I think he'll get it there. Nazem Kadri, you talked about Calgary. That's a guy that maybe we'll see what they do with him there. But certainly the Avalanche certainly miss his depth. That's for sure.
Yeah, certainly do.
All right, we got Tyson Barrie picture with Edmonton there. Let's see. Coming up next, we've got William Karlsson, Wild Bill, one of the original misfits there for the Golden Knights.
The last misfit standing. There's only a handful left now. Him, McNabb, and I think Shea Theodore are the last one standing.
Yeah, Marchessault's gone. Riley Smith's gone too. So yeah. Let's see. Here's Ryan Strome with the Rangers there, playing with the Ducks this year. The Ducks in Montreal, I think, will be like East and West Coast mirror images of one another that they'll be fun to watch. But yeah, they're not going to win a lot of games. Of the Canadians, we got Alexander Romanov pictured there, and then Tyler Toffoli, who's going to be skating on that top line with Macklin Celebrini with the Sharks. Should be able to get some production that way, if nothing else.
And if nothing else, he secured the bag this offseason with a nice 4-year deal. So shout out to Tyler Toffoli.
Let's see what else we got here. We got Victor Arvidsson, who's now a part of that Oilers top 6, going to be skating with Leon Draisaitl and Jeff Skinner on that second line there. So Arvidsson should get some points and production just by nature of playing with Leon Draisaitl.
Seems weird that the Oilers need that last little piece to get them over the hump. So they bring in Jeff Skinner, who's never played a playoff game in his life and doesn't really do a whole lot of the 200 hockey men defensive game, sandpapery, whatever. It's like if he's not scoring goals, Jeff Skinner doesn't really bring a whole lot to the table.
I thought that if you were gonna, you could have got you should have signed Jeff Skinner or Victor Robertson, but not both. I think that was a
I
little
agree.
too much of the same thing where you could have spent that money a little elsewhere somewhere. Speaking of Drew Doughty, going to be he's month to month after surgery. Tough blow for the Kings there. I think they still make the playoffs, but yeah, anytime you lose your anchor cornerstone blue liner there, that's not going to be an easy thing to get by.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
All right, coming up now, we have Connor Garland now with the Canucks, pictured there with the old Coyotes jerseys. Here's a guy I saw, I forget who it was, I saw that predicted a 50-goal season for Chris Kreider. I don't know about that, but I think the production still continues to roll for Chris. He's going to probably end up owning the Rangers' all-time scoring record at some point.
Probably, because, yeah, he's going to wind up playing for the Rangers for like 15 years, and he's a guy who will park his big old butt in front of the net, and a lot of goals will just go in because he's right there on the doorstep to clean them up. So shout out to Chris Kreider, who I hate saying that as a Devils fan because I'm not really a Chris Kreider guy, but maybe one of these years he'll win the Calder.
All right, I have a question. I have a question for you. I asked this of Tyler Lockett over the weekend. Is Kreider number retire worthy, or would he be Ring of Honor if the Rangers had a quote unquote Ring of Honor? He's never played with another team.
He's going to wind up owning like every Rangers offensive record. That's going to be the thing, though, because put a pin in that. Let me look up his stat.
I'd like a Devils fan perspective on that because I feel like you get the most honest perspective on something like that from a rival fan base. Because if they can acknowledge a guy, then to me, that's a big vote of confidence. Tim Stützle up in Ottawa, one of their top players, along with Brady Tkachuk, not expecting much out of the Senators this season. But nonetheless, maybe Travis Green gets him going a little bit. Matt Zuccarello, former Ranger there, love that the Minnesota Wild are going to go with that look moving forward with the old North Star colors with the logo. Good right wing there. So he had over 50 assists last season.
Now I'll interrupt you. All right, so Kreider is third on goals for the Rangers all time with 304. He is he's not in the top 10 in assists, but he is top 10 in points with 552. So he's not going to have the most points in Rangers history, but you look at the top 5 there, it's a who's who of who you would expect with the New York Rangers, and all their numbers are retired, and I don't think Kreider is that far behind all those guys. So, and he's still signed for a few more years. Like, as long as they don't trade him, but I mean, he's got the no move, and I know the Rangers are going to have to free up money at some point, but I don't think getting rid of Chris Kreider is going to be the way they do it. I think they're going to probably get rid of Jacob Trouba the second they have an opportunity to do so. So I would say yes. I think Chris Kreider is probably number retirement worthy. And
Kreider also strikes me as a guy where he's like, okay, I got to take a $2 million pay cut to make this work. Great, cut my pay by 2. I don't care. You know, he does not strike me as a guy that's going to squeeze you.
Yeah, by the time that deal is up and like he's on his his swan song deal, like his veteran. All right, I'm going to try to win a cup now. Deal. Just whatever. Let's keep the band together. I could see that.
Next up, we got Rasmus Anderson there with the Flames. Here's your new guy, Jacob Markstrom. Looked good in his Devils debut.
Looked very good.
We got Dustin Brown here. Matt Dumba, who's on his last legs. This is kind of a sad one to pull, so we'll just give it a moment and acknowledge it. Mr. Johnny Gaudreau. Obviously, don't want to get into all that again, but that's definitely going to pull that one off to the side and save it. I mean, you talk about going from polar opposites to one of the better human beings from the NHL to one of the bigger scumbags in the NHL. There's Tom Wilson. I had to segue out of that somehow, and that's what I had. So there you go.
All right, fair enough.
Pius Suter, who's playing well for the Canucks now as a depth center. Claude Giroux now in Ottawa. And if for fantasy purposes, if you're still drafting somehow, sneaky way to get faceoffs from the right wing position because he's got position eligibility there. Let's see here. We got a Shane Pinto rookie. We have Philip Zadina. He did not pan out very much. Marcus Foligno. Anthony Cirelli, who's going to be leaned on even more in Tampa this year. Kevin LeBanc, who I believe the Devils just did something with recently, no?
He was on a PTO with the Devils, and he actually just signed a deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets off of a strong preseason there. You talked about Columbus and them obviously, post Johnny Gaudreau dealing with the aftermath of that tragedy. And they're going to be one of those teams that like you're kind of like quietly rooting for. Just you want to see good things happen to one of those just after everything they've been through this year. So,
Yeah.
not too good. I don't want to see them compete for a playoff spot, but
No,
at least not yet. But yeah, Kevin LeBank's going to be part of that post Johnny Gaudreau iteration of the Blue Jackets.
Speaking of Blue Jackets, got a former Blue Jacket there, Max Domi, up in Toronto now. They're going to need a production out of him. And we've got one last card in this stack, and it's a mascot card. And it is probably my favorite mascot. That might have to go in Annabelle's collection there to start with her. SJ Sharkey.
Oh, nice. I like that this line has those mascot cards. I have one of the of Columbus's mascot, which I think is called Stinger. So that's cool that they do that. I like that.
We'll be going to the game on Black Friday against the Kraken because that's a 12:30 puck drop. So she's looking forward to meeting SJ Sharkey at the game. So she's excited for that.
Very nice. Very nice.
And we got to close on a good note there. So there we go. So we ripped some hockey. We ripped some baseball. We've talked plenty of other things, but I think it's time for the starting lineup figure 5 before we get on out of here. And today we haven't really done a whole lot of football except for our going forward, our punting segment. So let's do a starting lineup figure 5 today based on the world of football. Jared, I had 2 I could pick from today, but I've decided which one it's going to be. With that, let's go. Try again.
Is this player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
He sure is.
He sure is. He sure is one of the all-time greats there. If you don't mind turning this music down just a smidge. Thank you. Is this player a quarterback?
He is not a quarterback.
He's not a quarterback. Is this player an offensive player?
He is.
Is this player a Super Bowl champion?
Let's see here. Yes. One time.
Is this player a wide receiver?
No.
Okay. So that's it for the 5 questions. To recap, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion one time, and he is a wide receiver.
No, he is not a wide receiver.
Not a wide receiver. I'm an idiot. So the fact he's not a quarterback and he's not a wide receiver would lead me to believe he's most likely a running back. So got to think of your one-time Super Bowl champion running backs.
And I'll give you. Oh, you're going to take a stab. Okay, I was going to give you a hint, but go for it.
Hey, you give me the hint. I'll take the hint.
So he played for 2 teams, and you would remember him more from one team than the other, but he played for both teams for at least a significant chunk.
I was kind of going in this direction anyways. Is it Marshall Faulk?
Son of a bitch. Yes, it is. There we go. Good job. Picture with the Colts there.
I was going that direction anyways. My other guess would have been Jerome Bettis, who also would have qualified there.
Because the Rams and the Steelers. There you go. And one-time Super Bowl champion. So, yeah, Marshall, good job. We're back on the snot. Good job.
There we go. There we go.
Now, while I unbox this, we did not determine a pull of the day. So I'm gonna just throw mine up on the screen right now. It's either SJ Sharkey mascot card or Johnny Gaudreau base card would be my picks for pull of the day. Not sure what you got, but
yeah, for me, I have 3 candidates, and it's all from the baseball side. You could go Corbin Carroll rookie card. You could go the Satchel Paige ace card, which has a nice glossy finish. I always like seeing that. Or you could go with the Mark Vientos rookie card. So I feel like I can go any one of those directions here, and I feel like one of them is probably the winner. I'll let you determine which one, but
we'll go Corbin Carroll. I think Corbin Carroll takes the cake today.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll. He is a former rookie of the year. I mean, the Diamondbacks didn't make the playoffs this year, but he is going to be a big part of what the Diamondbacks are moving forward until he gets traded to a team that'll actually pay him. So
there we go.
I kid.
Oh, we'll see. Marshall Falk there, pictured at the card. That's back when starting lineup in the 96 edition. Still did their own cards and didn't just jump on like Topps or Fleer or whomever and just, rebrand it. And then it's a kind of similar position. He's protecting the ball a little better there. There he is doing what he does, protecting the football, carrying it, and probably on his way to the end zone. If not, he's going to get a big gain. Good. I like this Marshall Falk.
The helmets are removable for all these, aren't they?
Yes. Not the hockey ones, but the football ones.
But the football ones. All right.
Not
very
baseball.
good. Not baseball. All right. Good to quantify that.
So there you go. There's Marshall Falk. You'll be surprised. People will sell the starting lineups without the helmets because they do get lost easily, especially if you've had them for many years. Marshall Falk there, one of the all-time greats. Fun to watch. 2 strong careers there. And he will be a part of our starting lineup studio audience next week. Who's in that audience this week? I've picked a representative from each team that I think is going to finish in the bottom of their division. I know we were talking about good things for Carolina there, for Columbus, but unfortunately, I still think they're the bottom dweller of that division. Then if you look to the left, I got the Blackhawks finishing in last place in the Central Division. Calgary, as we mentioned earlier, in the Pacific. And believe it or not, I got Detroit finishing bottom in that division, not Ottawa of the Atlantic. The Red Wings goaltending is just atrocious. You're asking Patrick Kane to not miss a significant amount of time. Who knows what Tarasenko's health is? I know Raymond's taking a step forward this year. I know Dylan Larkin is taking a step forward and is still a top-notch center, but I don't know. I don't get a great feeling about the Red Wings, and I think they're going to finish last in the Atlantic.
I like that. That's a bold prediction. I don't think anyone's really taken Detroit to finish last place, so I like that you're doing that there.
All right, so Buffalo we expect to be better. They're not a last-place team, so it comes down to Montreal, Ottawa, or Detroit at that point.
I'm not so sure about Buffalo. I'm really not. I don't think any of these teams are. You could tell me any of these teams finish 5th or any of them finish 8th between like Buffalo, Ottawa, Montreal, and Detroit. And I'd be like, yeah, I guess I could see it. I still lean towards Montreal finishing in last place, but I mean, would I be surprised if Detroit did for the reasons you pointed out? No, I would not.
Maybe I'm letting Chris Merez just get into my brain too much about the Habs, but I think I don't know. I just feel like something's got to happen in Detroit, and the bottom's going to fall out. I mean, you're going into a season with Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon are your 2 goalies. I don't know about that, but yes, Marshall Falk. He'll be a part of the starting lineup studio audience next week. We'll see what the theme is. Probably something running back related, but. NHL season's here. Don't forget, Jared's got that jersey on, allaboutthejersey.com, at AAT Jersey blog, where you find his Devil's written content there. Also puts out some top-notch poker content at Jared Moore Poker on his YouTube channel. Total Hockey Now, probably going to be taking the week off this week. With the Mets being as busy as they are, at N Rivera 86. I have a short week. If you're going to Aftershock in Northern California, I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hit me up. Let's watch Slayer or Pantera or Slipknot or Iron Maiden or Judas Priest, somebody together. Come hang out. And, of course, you can always email the show at RipNRiff@gmail.com. Love to hear from you there. Don't forget to give us a like, follow, subscribe. But we're at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. We're going to be back with you next week with an all-new episode of Rip and Riff. What sports are we going to do? We don't even know yet. We'll figure it out. But for Jared Moore, I'm Adam Bernard. Catch you next week.